Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Quiver Podcast. And today we'll be recapping LaSalle's 93-84 loss to the USD Tigers, bringing out our record to 1-1, losing our second game after the opening against Allenson, and another number of topics. We're talking about the referee issue in the women's, by giving a quick preview of our USD match on Wednesday. And today, join me. I'm Kiko. Join us to Brian, Gio, and Willie. Say hello, guys.
Hello.
Hi, everyone.
Yellow.
Paalala ko lang pala. It's FEU Baka nalito na si Kiko sa UST.
Ay! Sorry. Sige, let's do one more. Sorry.
Hindi pa rematch.
Gusto natin kalimutan tong game na to.
No. We're gonna finish this. They made mistakes. We make mistakes. We're just like the.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Okay. All right, guys. So, UST is actually two big wins from them, beating both expected finalists this year, both title favorites in UP and LaSalle. So, led by Akoe, Fortsky is there. It's really a title contending team if these two games show. They really made a statement game in this win. But what you see, guys, it's UST's first win over LaSalle in 10 years, since 2015. So, Brian, why don't you give us some things that have happened, just to give in context on how long that time has been since UST last beat us in the UAAP?
Yeah, so, syempre, Kobe Bryant was the maker, tapos ang uso nun was Aldab, Provinciano. General Luna was a movie that came out that year, and yung song Watch Me Whip, Watch Me Nene was like being played across a lot of radio stations. And then si Coach Topex just started with Lyceum. Coach Juno was an assistant coach in UST, is our head coach back then.
Or you can say he's still a head coach now. You can also say that.
ibang school lang. Ibang school.
Ibang school lang.
Yeah. Congrats pala, Coach Juno. And Willie, yung paborito mong dayuin sa Cavite, nandun pa nung time na yun.
Oh, buhay pa
Island Cove.
Original management pa.
Yeah, so those are just the few things. Mag-comment kayo if anong naalala nyo sa 2015, because those are just some of the things that, it's 10 years ago. That's quite a long time ago.
Yeah, you're saying first Kobe Bryant was still playing at that time. I have to say, like, something more familiar to UST, Kareem Abdul just turned 40 in 2015, diba? And then also you're saying si Aldab was there too. Those are happier times for them compared to now. Uso pa yung Aldab na 2015. The happier times.
Oh, may Aldab revival
okay, guys.
Ngayon di ba?
Oh, yun nga Kakabalikan pa ngayon. So, wishing for happier times for them. And that's also a long time coming. And for us too. It's been a long time coming, but let's focus on the basketball. I guess we can say the game was won and lost in the third quarter, and you can really dial in on that. LaSalle went in the lead at halftime. But that first part of that, I go to you, Gio, what were we doing right? We were able to build a double-digit lead. Mason Amos hitting several threes. We were playing well. Jacob carrying some of that momentum from the first half. What were we doing right in that first part of the third quarter?
I think I don't want to talk about just the third quarter, and I think maybe I'll probably talk from the first quarter all the way to halfway through the third quarter. Was that we were playing the game at our pace. Like, we knew it was fast basketball. It was De La Salle basketball. It was why we had been relatively successful over the last 2 years, in general at least. And that was the type of game I wanted to see. The type where Jacob scores 7 fast points immediately, where Mike was very aggressive at the start of the game. And that was the biggest difference between the first 3.5 quarters versus the last 1.5 quarter. Obviously we'll spend a lot of time talking about why that would have happened. But if we always play at our pace, we are probably going to beat most of the teams in front of us. Adamson did a very good job in slowing us down during the last game, which is why it went down the wire. Um, but this time around, I think UST capitalized on that when once we got into a lot of things happened in the third quarter. We got into a lot of foul trouble for the players. We got the unsportsmanlike on Kian. Kian went down injured, which of course affected the pace as well. Um, I would arguably say that one of the biggest turning points in the game was when Cabanero blocked Gomez. It was probably one of those times na alam mo yun, when Gomez came in, look, I like the guy, he's from Green Hills, and we know we love our Green Hills guys. And he brought so much energy and spark off the bench and so much fight, which is what we love about our Green Archers. But when he blocked Gomez, parang nawala yung aura bigla eh. I think that was one of the key turning points in the third quarter. And no disrespect to Gomez or anything, but I'm just saying that once that came in, UST started slowly chipping away at our lead, and we didn't have the players anymore to come back. But we'll talk about this a little bit more throughout the course of this episode, of course.
Yeah, this guy is my height. He's 5'6". So when he did that move in fourth ski in that first half, that was a moment that obviously could have hold on forever. Of course, it didn't last long. Those good times didn't last long. Brian, going to this episode, you were saying that the key was probably to Ramos tried to stop Akoe from dominating his paint, showed what he did against UP. And I know they said he had the flu, but we're doing a good job of limiting and eliminating in that first half in that early part of the third quarter. Were you happy with our performance doing what we need to do against UST? But we saw these other guys step up as well later throughout the game.
Yeah, malaking bagay when everyone else contributed to UST. That meant Collins had breathing room kasi of course we can't just pick him up all the time because Cabanero will be there, diba? And there also the other guys like Paranada, Badegao, Asido, Crisostomo even. So UST's depth there, while not being heralded, kind of showed, at least in that moment, nung when they were chipping away and eventually overturned that deficit into a lead. Parang it was 11 down to 11 up in that quick stretch after that Paranada, Gomez, and Baclan incident there in the third. Kind of felt like we won the battle but we lost the game kind of thing there, the war. So, yeah, I guess the focus on Akoe was valid and we were doing well, but then when everyone else contributed for UST, that also made Collins more comfortable that he sees everyone contributing. So nahawa na din. It was infectious. And yeah, sayang hindi nahawa yung players natin. It was limited to the Tigers only.
Oh, I think Collins really is now outperforming Sarah G on those UST power rankings to start the season. I think he's missed the top spot already. Now let's. It's painful, but really let's start to dissect that third quarter collapse by LaSalle. What, in your opinion, went wrong for the Archers during that sequence? We were up double digits. You chipped away, and eventually took the lead there.
Ako, feeling ko nga talaga na, going back to what Gio mentioned, no, when the Gian meme went on for too long, na na-expose na siya, na siguro everyone was, natutuwa ng lahat, sabi na parang tinitingnan namin, yun, ba't may under 16 dito sa UAP? Parang siguro yung UST din nabigla parang next week pa, ano ba? Kakatapos yung juniors, di ba?
Kanina lang yun.
Yung juniors. Pero yeah, seriously, siguro in that third quarter, yung momentum talaga, there were several points where all throughout the third quarter, UST was slow but steadily chipping away at our lead. And then I think it all came down to that one incident where it was when Voris and si Paranada were friendly banter that eventually it eventually resulted in calls happening, and then after that, yun nga, yung kay Kian naman, where he was also called for a technical, and then I think shortly after that was when Kian had to sub out, yun nga, because I think that was when he wasn't feeling well, and then after noon, that was when we started unraveling, na si Jacob medyo nababad na talaga sa minutes niya. He was starting to feel tired. And then the second unit came in, and then that was when parang na-expose na nga din, I think, yung I think yung depth natin. Although people were saying that, we have one of the deepest teams. I think now, with what we saw and siguro what the rest of the league is seeing, it's not necessarily deep. I can say that maybe it's wide but not particularly deep. Or it's wide nga pero it doesn't have the punch really to sustain what the starters are giving us as of now. Ayun, marami lang din talagang mga calls and yung typical things that happen in the game, pero yun talaga yung third quarter na yun when emotions were running high, and then yun na talaga UST was really putting up yung energy na yun, which were our boys weren't able to really match head on. Yun talaga for me.
Yeah, Audrey Isabel. So thank you for we asked for you guys are always send in comments. What do you guys think about the game? What are your thoughts about the loss? So Audrey Isabel did say, and thank you for sending this in. Winnable if Kian didn't get injured and Mason not getting to foul trouble. Gio. So Willie brought this up. We've always said we have our biggest strength was our depth going this season. We could go 14, 15 deep, reliable players. We lost Kian to injury. We lost Mason to foul trouble, who were key players and getting us the lead for us. Does that indeed show that our depth isn't where we thought it is?
No, I don't think we came into the season knowing that this would be a problem. I think we were very well aware of that. We saw it last year when after Kevin, we hardly had any offensive options. If in any situation for that matter, against UP, they would let KQ score as much as they want and stop and let everyone else stop everyone else. They would totally live with that as an option. And then they realized that, okay, after game 2, they realized they couldn't do that anymore, so they doubled down in game 3, diba? And then they realized, okay, let's let everyone else score and let's double down on KQ, and that's how they beat Lasal. Let's remember that. Coming into this season, our players, I think, are extremely good defensively. We don't have a problem there. They can go toe to toe especially if it's a running game. But when it gets to the point that we're talking about half court sets, it's a little bit harder. We were able to get a couple of great backdoor plays. Yung sina Goliena, sina Voris, and si Earl cutting, and then those easy baskets. UST quickly adjusted so that we stopped playing those. But I think our second and third unit is fantastic defensively. But that's where we're gonna struggle a little bit. Once it becomes a war of attrition and they start scoring, we need to start scoring as well.
Yeah, and even we were talking about Bright in terms of depth, right? We were saying that probably Bright might have a role to play in this game, alternating with Mike Phillips. They tried to give him a shot, it didn't actually work. So is that a concern for you not in this game, but towards the season about the drop off after Mike Phillips?
Yeah, if you see at least almost every other team would have that solid frontline presence. Maybe one or two teams na lang I won't name anymore. Maybe kakayanin natin even if Mike Phillips doesn't play heavy minutes. But the rest, especially the upcoming two opponents, medyo challenge din eh. Because they bring in different dimensions in the front line. So I guess it's also up to the members of the line now, apart from Mike Phillips, to really respond to the challenge. Kasi we have targets on our backs, Tayo and UP. As you can see already, I think nawala din yung aura of invincibility, so to speak. unlike before the past 2 seasons where if you beat LaSalle, if you beat UP, it's quite a rarity. Now I think almost every team would consider games against us winnable. Not to say they would favor their chances, pero alam mo, they wouldn't also come into that game knowing na bonus lang. Parang they would relish that. And the front line has to realize that kasi yun yung yun yung magiging focal point sa offensive rebounds, sa chance points, defending the paint pag sa defensive sets. So a lot of it is really dictated in how our front line will shape up. And maganda na na-contain nga natin si Collins and to an extent si Nick nung first half. But when it unraveled, we found it difficult to really contain them. And yeah, that's a concern if we look at the upcoming games.
Yeah, it's really a front line rotation of Mason, si Luis, Pablo, right? Mike and Bright. And maybe that's something we may need more out of that group moving forward as well. And even in the guard situation as well. And we can go a bit, Willie, we can go to you about this one. In that guard situation, we were talking about the preseason predictions where we wanted probably Ethan Alian to maybe crack this lineup. If you got the name right, Willie. But
si Matt. Joke lang.
Yeah, I got Ethan. Do you think we went with Dagdag, some of the bigger size? Do you think probably so we don't have to rely on the rookies of like Kines, who was out sick, unfortunately. Gian Gomez, who was of course still a rookie undersized rookie coming out of high school. Would have someone like an Ethan within a bigger veteran, or someone with more experience help in this lineup? So something we should have probably included in the roster for this year.
Ano ba talaga, yung, what was that term? Yung hindsight ba in 2020? Yung ba yung tama ba? So, these are the questions really that actually napaisip nga tayo no? What if Ethan was part of the lineup? Oh, tama na ako ngayon.
So, wala, nasa Lyceum na siya. Nasa Lyceum si Ethan.
Ayun, so tinakot na ikaw may kasalanan talaga, Willie, na when you got his name wrong last year. I think there was no turning back from there when you got him on the show.
I'd like to apologize to everyone. Ako talaga may kasalanan ko bakit lumipat si Ruby ko. Pero yeah, anyways, it's one of the questions nga na we were thinking from last night na what if Ethan was part of the lineup and he brought his experience. He's been with the team for 3 years na. And kahit pa paano, last season he was getting his minutes na. Arguably more than si Ruby ko, if I remember correctly. Don't quote me on that. Alam mo naman. Pero yeah, it's one of the things na what if we had Ethan as part of the lineup, able to effectively back up or play alongside Jacob to keep that tempo and rhythm that was working for us in the previous quarters. Pero well, sino ba naman ako to comment on the decisions made by the coaching staff. Pero ayun, it's just one of those things na mapapaisip ka. And no offense din naman no offense to Gian. I'm sure he's a great pick. We love our GH boys. I'm sure he's still going to grow into his role. And then
yung height di ko alam Yung height, kahit lang natin yun So di ko alam ko yung but in terms of skill, yes, definitely.
Parang kagabi sinasabi namin, Gian, it's your time to step up. Tapos parang baka hindi kailangan step up, baka grow up as in literally tumangkad ka pa.
Well, it still has 3 years, I think, and I hope. Baka kahit
at least he's a very down-to-earth player. We can say that.
Marami pang art exercises, baka hakabulin pa.
Si Gio lang yata yung mas natangkad kay Gian Gomez for the record.
Gio can be a shooting guard. You're saying Gio.
Yeah, no, I mean, like, look, I love Gian Gomez. Like, the energy he brings to the team, the guts he has to do that. That's the LaSalle Angas we need. That's the LaSalle Angas we've been missing for such a long time. As in, I love it. As in, I really hope he develops into one of the greats. As in, I genuinely hope so. As in, yung angas niya, And alam mo yung GH na angas na hindi mo alam kung nanggagago siya o nangungupal siya, but you realize he's doing both to you at the same time.
Oh, yung bigla na
Oh,
lang
yeah.
nakakamuni ka sa overpass.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. So, man, I want to see him play more. As in, no joke. As in, can you imagine if he becomes really fast? He's got a great shoot, great jump shot. And by the way, during the shoot around, he was hitting all his shots.
And perfect free throws niya so far.
And perfect free throws niya. So, dude, I wanna,
Pero, Gio,
we
the
love our
concern, what's the concern there is, there's a discussion now, is that when Kian went down, it was GN there. Not FE. I've got schools mixed up again, thinking ahead. UST.
Din kasi.
Yes. And other things. UST was going on their run. Right? As much as we love Gian, his GH, that Angas, wouldn't it have been a better call to put in... We lost Kian to injury. Mason's in foul trouble. Wouldn't it be a better call to put Jacob back in that point and say we had to put out this fire? UST is making a run. We can't lose this lead. We can't lose our cushion. Was that probably something an oversight on our behalf?
No, I think so too. I think that you're right. Jacob should have come in a little bit earlier, but he was also gassed towards the end of the game. So and part of it is of course Kian going down injured. So I do. There's a lot of question marks here. Should Jacob have come in instead of Kian, etc. But I think what was correct was for the coach to remove him from that situation, which was causing a lot of course, that's also not good for a rookie to be in a situation like that. The coach should protect them. So I think it was the right move to take Gian out at that juncture.
Also, context for everyone kung bakit, for sure may magtatanong, bakit hindi pinasok si Kines? Apparently, we just found out after the game or during the game that he was out sick, so di talaga siya makakalaro.
Actually, Kines would have been a great time to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We got a comment from Dino Ramirez, one of our listeners. He quoted Ron Jacobs saying, "Players win games, coaches lose them." I always agree, not always true. But let's put in the context of this game and what we know about LaSalle during the season. Brian, remember UP? That UP semifinals in the Phil Oil. Same thing. Third quarter, we were up big. We collapsed. And we were not able to turn the tide, stop that, put out those fires, the firefighting. Okay. We go to this UST game. We're up double digits. Same thing happens. We were not able to hold. We were 2 steps behind in being able to put out that fire that UST stopped that run. Do you think there is something? Well, I see that there's something we could have done a bit more there. That there's maybe some room for improvement in terms of how we use our lineups, how we make those right substitutions, putting in a Jacob, putting in your best 5 when that opponent is making a run, or even like you said earlier, calling a timeout in that sequence. Are we still lacking those little adjustments in those situations to stop opponents from coming back in the game? Is that something we need to probably look at and improve moving forward? What do you think?
Yeah, kasi diba, before we rolled, we were discussing timeout sana, or at least it was a 11-point lead that UST ate up. So for me, it was more of when it got to 6 or 4, given the pace of the game, could have called time. Jacob, if I remember, he came in when we were up by 4 na lang. And unfortunately for him, when he came on, first thing that happened was he turned the ball over. Then malamig. I mean, can't blame the guy really. But what happened there is, too late and medyo bad light kasi yun nga, it's reminiscent of that UP Phil Oil semifinals. Although on one side, it's correct. We should have learned from the UP incident nung earlier in the year. My only other side of the coin that I'm thinking of And then this is with a bit of sympathy or trying to really understand, being perceptive of the situation. Um, it's the second game of the season, so maybe
Yeah.
they roll the dice a little bit. Just see how another decision similar to what happened in the UP game could pay off. And now they realize that there are caveats that could really happen. So if we see this in the FEU or Ateneo game or some other game in the first round, I think they can only do it once na eh. I mean, syempre, you also have to try other things. Parang sa ano yan, ibang, I mean, you really have to play out a lot of scenarios. So siguro, because of it being just the second game of the season, there was that appetite pa from the coaching staff, either si Coach
Yeah.
Lopez or whoever is, parang nagsabi na, no, let's not call timeout. Like, let's just let it play out. Kasi maybe they are using that opportunity for the players then to respond in games. And maybe they will assess moving forward if they respond better kung let it play out or kailangan na ba magpalit or paano ba yung palitan.
Yeah.
So, I guess
The right mix, yung
that's the
tamang
only way I
timpla.
can rationalize. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, siguro ganun na lang yung pag-rationalize ko. But ako personally, syempre, if marami nagko-comment, social media, diba, and all that, you can see me sometimes. I remember may mga nakakapansin sa akin sa social media about, nasa quiver to blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I could have really made that substitution or switch too early than what we did. Pero syempre, I'm not the coach. Coach Lopez also, let's just remind people, he's also open to admitting that when we lose the games, he's the first one to take the blame din naman. So, I think he knows that, and for sure, it's up to him now how to respond. And the good thing about it is that when people are watching this episode, it's a Monday. 2 days na lang we can respond against FE, which we'll talk about a bit more later.
Yeah, you're right, Brian. It's early. If we see the second round when you should be peaking, you should know your team better, really know your rotations lineup. It'll be a concern, but it's the second game. There's no need to panic yet. Of course, we could have done better, but all right. It's the second game. Let's see what we go from there. Willie, how about you? We were talking about how we want to dissect this. Do you think there are better adjustments we could have made on the coaching side during that third quarter collapse? You're on mute, Willie.
Yeah. I guess most of my sentiments were also shared previously by si Brian and si Gio. I guess na most of the sentiments being shared nga on social media na ano yun, among others from a very prominent former player, parang sama daw ng rotation ng tao, which to an extent siguro while watching the game, parang medyo bakit ganun yung you start questioning bakit ganun yung pinasok lang, but then after knowing the context behind, you could parang naintindihan mo na rin kahit paano na okay, ito yung naging rational behind the decision for that. Pero I agree na with si Brian na maybe it's yung coach's decision na rin naman talaga to see this early in the season, to see to sort of hindi naman experiment but to see how the players respond. Pero hopefully we get to react in the next coming games. Hopefully nga may makita natin na better response or more serious response siguro by the coaching staff when it comes to yung mga ganitong mga medyo nagra-run away na yung opponent natin and medyo nagpapanik na siguro yung mga players natin. I'm sure they'll start adjusting since I feel na this game is really the perfect game for them to pick up a lot of mga lessons and things to improve on moving forward.
Yeah. So, Gio, we've seen this happen in two games in two big games now. Gene Tomelden reached out and gave us a comment for listeners. Thank you also. I realized, boss, this team have not yet proven they can win big games. So, given that the coaches are still trying to grasp what are the best rotations, when the best insert these certain players, like, and the case in point, the third quarter run by UST, we could have approached it in a different way. There's the lineup combinations we had. We could have gotten ahead of it. As they say, the best problem solvers are those who see or who make sure those problems don't happen in the first place, right? Is that a concern for us now that we've seen it twice? Is it a concern for you that moving forward there might be an issue for the team?
It's not a concern for me yet. I think Topex has always come into a season with the approach that I trust all 16 players, and it's the second game. He's going to allow people to go into a pressure cooker and show which of these guys are diamonds, which of these guys will be diamonds, not necessarily diamonds now, but that can handle it, but someone can handle it better. But we've already started seeing a little bit of those tweaks. In the first game, you hardly saw Baclaan and Cortez play together up until the fourth quarter lang actually. But this time around, they started playing more together, which also contributed to Jacob's fatigue towards the end of the game, diba? And these are things that he will learn along the way. We have to remember that 4 of our players are brand new, and out of those 4, 3 are people who we expect to be really big offensively for us. Okay, and this is their second UAAP game in the green and white. They have played with other teams before in other contexts, but
Yeah.
Topex and everyone is learning just as well in this scenario right now. And I think it's not that we're saying we need to give them a pass. I think more than anything, we need to allow them to grow. And eventually, once the pressure kicks in to actually start winning, that's when we're going to see tough calls will be made. But now, we're 1-1. We've played against a tough Adamson and a tough UST game. We play FEU on Wednesday, then Ateneo on Sunday. It's still a pretty long way to go. And we go back to our preview episode where we even said that the best LaSalle Championship teams always peak in the second round, not in the first round.
Yeah.
And this entire tweaking sequence is part of it. And also this entire, I gotta trust these players, because by the time the second round comes along, that trust is so important, because that's what is going to actually take us to the championship. Go back to 2004, 2007. I'll go 04 more. The whole TY Tanga days. Like, coach still kept on playing him, diba? And he turned out to be one of an absolute legend for LaSalle. So we need to allow them that space, mostly because this is literally their second UAP game for DLSU.
Okay, but Gia, allow me to postulate this. And I'm not doing this for the hits, but I just want to have this discussion, please. We're not that kind of show. You just talked about how we have our day jobs. We're fine. We have our day jobs. You talked about how when the pressure comes, when those situations come, we'll know when to put the right players in the pressure cooker. We'll know what kind of rice to put in there.
Nah.
Last year we had KQ, who was a national team player, one of the best players in the UAP, the best player in the UAP, one of the best LaSalle players, talent-wise ever. And he did not play when push came to some in Game 3. He never played from the 6th minute to about a minute left in that game. And we knew we needed him at that time. We knew we wanted him in, but there was no dead ball situation. And that was a discussion last year, right? We could have fouled, we could have called a time and find a way to call, not a timeout, we could have called a foul and create all dead ball situation. So given that history and given how we've seen these past 2 games, Brian can answer this too, or Willie. Is there an issue knowing when to tap into and get our players into the game?
Maybe I'll start since you directed the question at me. There is an issue. I think the case from last year is different from this year. I think last year was a big learning experience for everyone, and I don't think mauulit yun ever again. I think yesterday naubos ng talaga tayo ng players.
That's true. It's a factor. The injuries and were a factor too. Yeah.
But also, and I'm surprised we're 35 minutes into this episode. No one has talked about the calls of the referees. We were like,
Pinipigil ko
Yeah.
lang sarili ko.
Okay. Like,
Wait. Baka may fine from Jay
Baka-
Reyes. Joke lang.
Oh, he's coming up. We're gonna get fined after this segment.
okay.
Yeah, in the next part of the show, definitely.
But we had 3 fouls with less than a minute in the third quarter. Okay? Like, you gotta remember that. And all of a sudden, we can't play aggressive anymore. Amos ended up with 4 fouls at some point in time. No one graduated. Jacob was playing with 3 fouls towards the end of the game, which is too much for a point guard. So parang may ganong factor din na I think that made it also harder for us to execute our game plan. So I hear you. I do agree that there might be some issues with the way the pieces are being played. My only argument there is that this season is different from last. And I'm sure Coach Topex learned from that already. I'm sure Coach Topex wanted to put in Kian again. And like, Kian, pwede ka pa? Hindi pa, Coach. Spring break pa ako eh. Sorry na lang, diba? So,
Yeah.
I think it's a little bit hard as well, especially in the second game of the season.
Yeah, and it's not like we're second guessing our coaches, Gio. And people in social media are a bit angry about yesterday. Of course, it's a loss. We're all emotional. But the things, guys, we say on this show, the coaches are about 3-4 steps ahead of us. They know,
Yeah.
they live and breathe this. They watch tape. They know this. We don't have to call it out for them. So it's really a matter of, how we get execute and learn in the future games. Brian, any thoughts on terms of irritation before we move on to the
That-
stuff?
Dadagdag ko lang, nabanggit ni Gio yung no one mentioned fouls. I'm not gonna mention, apart from this point, free throws. Wala na, ayoko na pag-usapan yung free throws.
It's breathing. It's like breathing. It's who we are.
Alam mo, dapat binabalik na natin yung old segment natin kay Brocha eh. Yung take a shot for every missed free throw.
Oh.
Oh.
Kawawa we don't have an insurance plan yet. Kawawa yung liver niya. For that. So, like you guys said, it's early in the season, guys. It's too early to judge. I'll read another entry from one of our listeners, Mr. Matty Go Lucky, if I remember that got it correctly. Yes, Matty Go Lucky. Thanks for listening to your family as well. He said, yesterday's loss isn't the end of the world. There's still so much room for improvement this season and next season as well, from free throws to defensive stops and to offensive translations. The boys have a long road ahead of them, and they shouldn't make this loss their downfall. So we need to end this discussion on the US game. Any positives, and set it for us the context that, it's the second game of the season.
52% na yung free throws. Kakasabi ko lang, di ka na mabalik. 42% kasi nung last game.
Which is
So,
still not
I
there.
Yeah, still not 69%. So medyo
Yeah.
gilid pa. Malayo pa sa ideals. Positives. Yeah, I think, like I mentioned, diba? And I shared this also in my socials after the game. I was quite blasé that we lost to UST. Not because I didn't care about Lasal. I care. Pakot nga ako eh. Kasi I watched the game, medyo I was shouting again. That's what I do. It's more of, it's too early. And I did say in that episode too, wala lang, hindi na lang nasama sa reel na UST might be peaking too early. They can prove me wrong, of course, but the way I see it is they might be doing that. Because that's the hallmark of a team. We've seen this. Sometimes we're that team. Sometimes it's another team that seems to be the front runner, and then baka when the going gets tough, then dun sila magkaroon ng doubts among themselves. So for us, it's good to face these kinds of challenges early on. I think yun nga, we still don't know really what 100% works with this rotation, and sometimes that's the problem with the depth. Kasi you really have to balance. We've not seen a few players, si Kines, unfortunately couldn't feature when there was an opportunity. Who knows if he recovers in time for the FEU game, we'll see him. Real Malencio, Dagdag, those players we also could see more eventually, diba? So, yeah, still so much this team can offer. And I think even yung holdovers from last year, Goriana, Abadam. They showed what they can do. The numbers would kind of stack. Pero yun nga, I think the impact would have to be more pa siguro. And they know this themselves. Even si Earl when he showed up here, mga players, they would criticize themselves harder than any of us would. So I don't really need to parang add more doubts keep into their heads. Parang they know how to respond and they know they should respond because it's a proud institution they're representing. So
Yeah. Yeah. So stay tuned. Episode will be quickly previewing that FEU matchup. Before we move on to the topic about the women's referees, Willie, we've had the first week of UAP basketball now in the books. The other schools at O is 3-0. UST is making a statement, beating both LaSalle and UP. Adamson is turning out to be a Final Four contender. UP is at 1-2. We're at 1-1. What can you say so far about the field? Is it true? So it's coming true that it's going to be one of the most balanced, most even seasons in the UAP in recent years?
Actually, I think this is also a thing that people tend to forget. Na when they see, UP and LaSalle, parang medyo stumbling out of the gate sila. People have to understand that the league is not static. Well, I guess siguro if you're Hindi na ako magsasalita. Pero every other team is improving. And we've seen the off-season moves. We've seen the transfers, the new recruits for the other teams, and everyone is trying to make the moves really to improve, not just to get into the Final Four, but to win a championship. Yun talaga yung end goal, di ba? So, this season compared to siguro last season, we can see for the teams that we saw the makings na may the potential to be Final Four contenders. We're seeing them now making their case. We saw Adamson, even though it isn't reflected in their win-loss standings, but they've been playing very well defensively, able to limit both UP and LaSalle to below par for their scoring, and then they were also able to hold down Ateneo up until that last fourth quarter, and then of course UST, and really that team has been playing together for a few years now, and then that addition of Okoye really boosted yung production nila. So basically what we're saying is it's not just LaSalle and UP that's improving, it's everyone else. And yun talaga, it's really a more balanced season now, I think, na siguro hopefully we see FEU and UE get some wins.
Well, not on Wednesday.
Not
on Wednesday. Wag. Everyone else.
Ang hirap talaga maging diplomatic. Baka mami nakapasama tayo.
You don't have to be diplomatic on this show, really. But, and credit to UST. Yeah.
Papogi lang para pag na-feature na ako ng signal sa mga sponsor spots nila. Alam niyo.
Oh, man. And credit to UST. It's a great performance from them. They've beaten the two favorites this year. And their mindset shows. Cabanero, Fortsky were interviewed after the game saying, hey, it's early. We know these were two big wins, but it's early. It's a long season to go. And I think that kind of mindset, not get ahead of yourself, really bodes well for a team like UST. So credit to them that they played a good game. They're 1-3 to contend this season. How about Gio? Gio, I don't want to get your thoughts. Ateneo's 3-0. Bit of worry there. Worried about yung mas dadaming bagyo, wala pa yung mga flood control projects natin. Ganun ba yun?
Okay. I will be honest. I'm getting a bit worried. No. I mean, like, give credit where credit is due. Number one, they beat Adamson quite handily earlier today. That's one. Number two, we need to. That is the one game where we cannot come in and feel like we're gonna win it. Alam mo yun, that was us last year. Like, you knew when you entered the Coliseum and you saw that there were 3,000 Ateneans versus 12,000 Lasallians. You knew we were gonna win. Like,
it takes a lot to remove the self-belief out of Atenean, Gio. Diba?
yeah,
It
yeah,
takes a lot.
you knew it, but this year, guys, like, we can't afford that. Like, we cannot afford to afford to go into, well, for that matter, any game, disrespecting our opponents. And I thought that our first two quarters showed a lot of respect to UST, and I expect that we see something similar. Not just against Ateneo, even against FEU. But I'll tell you another team I'm worried about. I'm worried about NU. Like,
Yep.
I'm genuinely worried about NU.
Still
And
2-0.
Yep.
yeah, I need to put in a lot of. We need to show a lot of respect towards the rest of the league, because this is a tough league, and even Ateneo, like, we need to come in
Yep.
with a lot of. We need to show why we won the championship 2 years ago, and we have to show why we are the favorites.
Yep. And UP's still there, of course. They're 1-2, but I think if they get their act together, if they get to match their pieces, they'll be up there too. That's really and justify why they're one of the favorites. Okay, guys. I know we're 50 minutes in the show, but and I know we've been down with the loss from over the weekend. But if there's one thing we can rely on, guys, is for an Atenean to mess up the mat, and that will bring us some joy here. Commissioner Jai Reyes had some controversy over the weekend, where he did say that, where it came out that the referees in the women's division were being paid at a lower wage compared to those in the men's division on a game per game basis. And he reportedly said that it was due to that calls were faster. It was a higher intense game in the men's, hence justifying the higher calls. And there's another issue about how the referees were weren't even informed of the pay disparity until they got their paycheck. But that's a separate issue. Let's focus here on the principle of things, guys. Brian.
I want to start.
Okay, you want to start this on Gio? Yeah, let's talk about the principle. Is this right for a league like the UAP to do something like this? All right, go ahead, Gio.
All I'm gonna say is, Jai Reyes, where is your cura personalis?
Also, Gio, he was there as part of the 2 is greater than 3 with the Zion Later. So you want to trust this Atenean with the salaries of these referees? You should probably try someone else. Maybe it was it was accounting error. And he just said, palampasin ko na lang. Mas magaling sila. It could be that. But Brian, what are your thoughts on the situation? The UAP said that it's about tiered. There's a reward system there, and because it's a different division, different difficulty of refereeing, they go to the higher tier of salaries. That's the league statement, if I read that correctly. What are your thoughts on this direction the UAP is taking in terms of the referees? And I want to add, Brian, if I read the news reports correctly, they even lowered from the salaries of women's last year. It's not even bumping up the men's pay as well. So that's one of the issues there. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so as far as we're told about 2,500 before, if I'm not mistaken, for both men's and women's, and I think across all divisions, 2,500. And now what we're seeing from reports is 3,000 sa men's and 2,000 sa women's. So it doesn't take an accounting major to see that there is parang an effect that you increase the men's but you also reduce the women's in effect. And given the distribution of games, it's always going to be equal, yung men's and women's, diba? So it's a tug of war effect in the budgeting, which is off. I can understand the tiering as well if collegiate is superior to the high school. Nangyari kasi the boys retained the 2,500 segment. Meaning, if you look at it now, it's men's, the seniors, and then the boys. I'm not sure if kasama pa pati yung senior high pa na 2,500 and then 2,000 lang yung women's. And if you're a women's player, parang una, hindi mo naman kasalanan na you're playing there. I mean, it's really parang division yun. Ang problema lang is it sends out a wrong message na if kaya naman equal pay from before. Kasi if let's say previous practice is hindi talaga equal. Maybe we can understand it a bit more. Nangyayari ngayon is there is a restructuring and may pinabura na isa. Whether valid or justifiable, yun is another thing. But to me, if you already had a system before where it's more equitable, why deviate? Parang I don't really justify yung mabilis yung tawagan, and like what we mentioned, diba? There are also some questionable calls sa men's. What would happen to them? Bababa sila sa women's, and then you'll get that same quality kasi it's now the women's getting punished for mistakes being made at the men's, which is regarded as a higher level. So kawawa naman yung women's. Paano kung final for deciding game yung mga point, and then sasabihin na lang ng commissioner's office, because they were officiating men's before and di sila sanay sa women's, and then they make mistakes, and alam naman natin, and I mean officiating may room ka talaga to make mistakes, but the problema is yun nga, it's kind of a punishment because you're sending down, diba? Parang it's that tiers it's really that element that's putting things in jeopardy if we look at it at a bigger level.
Yeah, Willie, you're a staunch activist of women's rights. More anyone on this show. What did you make of this news when you heard about this issue with the pay disparity between the men's and women's referees? Oh, sorry, men's league and women's league referees. Yeah.
Yung una ko naisip, bigla ko na lang naisip bakit. Tapos naalala ko, asang school nga ba galing yung commissioner? Kaya pala.
It's sometimes as simple as that.
It's something as simple as that. Sabi ko, kaya pala. Mga tinis, hindi ba kayo nahihiya?
That's weird. All right. Pero, let's go for it. Go for it, buddy.
It's like, I don't understand why there's a pay disparity considering they're playing the same game. You know, it's like, why are you are the calls going to be different just because it's a women's game? It's like echoing what the other coaches, what the other women's basketball coaches are saying. No, just call them as a basketball team or officiate them as a basketball team and not as a women's basketball team. Bakit pa kailangan may particular na differential? No, it's basketball. Ano ba naiiba dyan? Of course, well, yung pace nga, as mentioned earlier, is quicker, pero it's still basketball. Ano naman pinagkaiba nun?
Okay. All right.
I just want to add one last very, very quick thing with all of this. Even in the NBA and the WNBA, the WNBA is actually harder to call because the players are actually more aggressive there. So if you just look at global trends, like this, I don't think this entire move makes sense.
Yeah. And all right, since we're going that direction, Gio, we're going to help Jai out here. He said that the women's game is hard to call, which is not, it's debatable. It's so hard to prove that. But as these stats, let's put our economic hat on. I'm going to say this. I don't agree with this, but I'm going to put it out there for argument's sake, Gio. NBA refs and WNBA refs are paid differently. I think WNBA refs only take 1/3 or 25% of the pay of NBA refs. And the reason for that is it's simple economics. The NBA generates more revenue than the WNBA. Had Jai said that because the men's league is the revenue generating league of the UAP, that's why the refs who go to this division get the higher pay. Is that something you've been more amenable with?
For me, no. I don't think so. Because it's not a professional league. It's a collegiate league. There has to be a fair standard, not just across divisions, but across all sports. Mostly because it is an amateur collegiate league.
On paper.
Throw it in there, yeah.
As far as the commissioner is concerned, it's an amateur league.
Yes, on paper.
Yeah, and no, there has to be equal footing. That's I think that's the bottom line, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't treat the athletes differently because of that. And
And Gio, to
this
add, the UAP has a responsibility as a developmental league to develop all divisions. We don't just develop. That's why we have these other sports who aren't refrigerated, because we have, as a school institution, as a league, we have a responsibility or a promise to develop these different athletes in these different sports and these different leagues. So maybe just to add to what you said, yeah.
yeah, and I also argue that there has to be a fair way to do this even in the professional leagues in the future, right? Mostly because the referees should is only beneficial for the referees if they can call a game very well for both men's and women's divisions, and even for high school divisions. Um, I think that's the bottom line of it all, and a, a more tiered system on how good you are as a referee is probably more important. I think that's what Vic said to us, na parang there has to be a way for referees to be rated so that they move up and down tiers a la relegation, and that needs to be assigned appropriately. It's like the NBA finals, right? There's only like six referees who
Select.
can referee
Yep.
the NBA finals, something like that. We should consider something like that.
Yeah. I would like to reward those refs who don't put us in the free throw line. That's the refs I want. Gusto ko referee. Ayun siya.
The,
I know.
the, the refs I want are those that don't put us into foul trouble in the ninth minute of the third quarter.
And fourth quarter, Gio. Fourth quarter din. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yung hindi nagko-call ng fouls against and for us. Yun yung
Oh, just let us play.
Ano?
Or if we
No
do foul,
blood,
inbound.
no blood, no
Inbound.
foul. No blood, no foul.
Okay. All right, guys. Now looking towards our game on Wednesday. Quick turnaround. Good chance to bounce back. FEU 0-2, still winless. Of course, FEU reeling from losing key players VJ Pre, who willingly and happily transferred to UP. Brian,
walk-in
what are
lang
your
siya, walk-in lang
thoughts?
siya.
Walk-in lang. Yep. He walk in, he wanted a good education. What are your thoughts on the FEU game, and how crucial now is this game that we lost, coming off a loss from UST?
It's so weird to talk about FEU this way because it never feels easy facing FEU. Kahit nung
Oh, yeah.
season 85, when they were in full rebuild, losing, I think, we beat them handily the first round, and then we lost a crucial game to them in the second round, diba? If I remember correctly. So it's never going to be easy against FEU. Kahit matambakan natin sila, I wouldn't call it an easy game. Then again, they are spread thin. Although by being spread thin, they can call on unknowns, which they are quite known to do. I mean, nung 2000s, after yung nila prominent na starting five nila, you will see all of a sudden one or two of those players step up and cause damage to us, diba? So to me, FEU, especially at sa QPAL pa, tricky Wednesday. Para tong football saying, ipaparaphrase ko to eh. Can they do it on a hot Wednesday afternoon in Espanya? So, I mean, FEU, nothing to lose is the most difficult game that can call a response. I guess kung nag 2-0 tayo, I mean, still wouldn't be any acceptable if matalo tayo kahit 2-0. But now with a bit more pressure, I would say exciting and also nerve-wracking at the same time how this group will respond. I've seen positives naman. I think I looked at the body language of the players after the final buzzer. That's the first thing I checked nung natalo tayo sa UST. Varys was
All right.
encouraging players to chin up. Mason was obviously disappointed. I felt like he knew it himself that he was better than just 9 points in that game, and he knew that the circumstances were difficult for him to perform. Yeah, so it's something that I guess for a player, gusto mo agad bumawi. Ayaw mo nung matagal nilingering weight eh. So I'm just hoping for the best. And yeah, we have the tools, we have the talent, and we will come into this game as favorites. siguro we just have to live up to that billing and make sure that we don't waste any opportunities and prove every doubts that emerged after the UST game as as a hiccup rather than a trend.
Yeah, Willie, aside from free throws, from better free throws, without mentioning better free throws, what do you like to see from us from this game?
Don't send us to the free throw line.
Okay, that's another way to put it. All right.
Pwede rin, wait. Pwede rin naman more, mga 50 free throws. Siguro naman we'll make kahit 36. Pwede na rin.
Pero ayun, yeah. Parang historically with an FEU team, nagiging trap game siya for us eh. Yung akala mong ano yun, madali lang or kaya natin yan, bilang all of a sudden we're fighting for our lives. And either we eke out a win just barely or we get handily beaten out of nowhere. So sorry, right now ang dami na flashback ng mga dating FEU games
2015.
na nakakatrauma.
Diba naalala mo, we were talking about the start of the episode, 2015. That game that
Don't remind me.
really care about winning. Natalo pa rin sila.
For context, for everyone's context, that game was, tama ba, yun yung pinapatalo na, nagpapatalo na sila.
Nagpapatalo FAU and we still lost.
Nagpapatalo na FEU and we still lost. That was a weird game. Pero, yeah, ano yan, yung combo na yan of playing in QPAV, where you all know there's something with that venue, turns everyone into shit. Pero coupled
Except
with
Ateneo, apparently.
Except Ateneo and UST, and playing an FEU team that's still winless but is sure to be hungry for that first win, going against LaSalle. It has the makings of a trap game, which I'm hoping the boys start taking this seriously. They don't underestimate anyone in this league, particularly an FEU team that historically they've had their number. They've had their number at the weirdest times.
All right. Gio, keys to victory versus FEU.
Keys to victory over FEU. Number one, focus on playing LaSalle basketball, for the lack of a better term. I mean, as corny as that sounds, we need to get back our mojo. That's the first.
Play our game. We lost that against
Yeah.
UST. You're right. We lost
Yeah.
the rain against UST. Yeah.
That's the first one. The second one is we also need to figure out how to stay out of foul trouble. That's actually pretty important if you ask me. Like we've done a relatively poor job in managing our fouls. And last one is maybe find a way to not get injured or to like stay on the court the whole time. And
Don't get sick too. Mag-vitamins kayo.
yeah.
Huwag pupayat.
Yeah, and come out with a lot of aggression. I think come out with an aggression that shows that we really, really, really want to win this game.
Yeah. I also want to see, I think it's a good game for our second unit to prove why we have good depth. If we see guys like Bright contributing, you don't have to start. You don't have to go big numbers. If they can contribute here and there, as telling Gio that's if we get our shooting guards and our wings to play a factor in the USA game, we may have won that game comfortably. So hopefully we can see it in this FEU game right around the last game and take us home. We all predicted us going 2-0 against FEU for the season. Any other reason you guys will see otherwise for this game before we end? Or just
I think if we don't come out with that urgency, if the second half of the third quarter LaSalle team shows up, we're not winning this game. Like if it's the first one and a half, like we need to be able to come in and show aggression and show why we are the favorites this season.
All right. Thank you guys, and we'll be recapping that FEU game after our Wednesday showdown. Guys, it's been an hour and 5 minutes. I guess misery loves company. Yep, hope you're still here. I'm sure the UST fans are still here. And you know how I know we've been an hour on? Just checking out my Ibarra Trofeo Green Watch. So thank you for Ibarra Manila for partnering with the Clipper Podcast. Check them out on social media, on their Instagram, on their Facebook. Also, a part of the proceeds from every Ibarra Manila purchase goes out to help those athletes, the USU athletes who are playing for LaSalle. So if they don't want the UP, if Giants won't take care of our referees, we'll take care of our athletes. Right?
Yeah,
So
para
Ibarra is
hindi
going
sila
to be
kusang
doing
lalapit.
that.
Para hindi sila kusang lalapit somewhere else.
Yep, exactly.
Baka bigla na mag-walk in somewhere.
Diba? So guys, thank you to you guys for listening. It's early in the season, plenty of time to bounce back. We also appreciate all those guys, everyone who sends in their comments and their questions to us. Keep them coming. We love your thoughts. It's a show. We really make this show for LaSalle fans everywhere. So subscribe to us on YouTube, on Spotify. Reach out to us on social media. We'll see you there on Wednesday. And for a recap after, I'm Kiko, Brian, Willie, Gio. Keep the faith, guys. It's early. As we all say, Animal Asal.
Ano mo na sa
Animal aside.